Did you know Dave Mustaine was actually homeless when he started Megadeth? Back in 1983, right after getting kicked out of Metallica, Dave had nothing. No band, no money, and nowhere to go. He was angry, broke, and sleeping in David Ellefson's van just to survive. But instead of giving up, he poured all that rage into music. He started writing riffs that weren't just heavy, they were furious. They didn't sound like Metallica, they sounded like revenge. And that raw energy hit hard. The band he formed exploded, sold millions, and turned Dave from rock bottom into a metal legend. Getting kicked out of Metallica turned out to be the best thing that ever happened to him. But the climb there wasn't easy. Being fired didn't just bruise his ego, it shattered his identity. He had helped shape Metallica's sound, and suddenly he was thrown aside. On the long bus ride home after his dismissal, he sat with nothing but anger and a notebook. Out of that came the early skeleton of Megadeth. At first it was pure survival. Dave and Ellefson lived off scraps, bouncing between apartments and sleeping in vans. They had no stability, but they had a vision: to build a band faster, heavier, and more technical than anything else out there. When Megadeth finally took shape, people noticed. The riffs were razor-sharp, the lyrics were venomous, and the speed was unmatched. Tracks like Peace Sells and Holy Wars didn't just get attention, they set new standards for thrash metal. Dave didn't just move on from Metallica, he created a band that could stand right beside them. By the late 80s, Megadeth were part of the Big Four of thrash, alongside Metallica, Slayer, and Anthrax. They sold millions of albums, filled arenas, and influenced a generation of guitarists. The same guy who once slept in a van was now one of the most respected names in metal. Of course, the road wasn't smooth. Dave struggled with addiction, rivalries, and the constant shadow of Metallica. Reporters loved to poke at the feud, and the comparisons never went away. But through it all, he refused to quit. That's what makes his story powerful. Most people, after being kicked out of a band like Metallica, would have disappeared. Dave turned rejection into resilience. He took his lowest point and transformed it into a career that would outlast the very pain that created it. Decades later, Megadeth is still standing. Albums like Rust in Peace and Countdown to Extinction are now legendary. And Dave Mustaine, the man who once had nothing, built an empire out of spite, skill, and survival. Because in the end, getting kicked out of Metallica wasn't the end of Dave Mustaine's story. It was the beginning. And looking back, it's clear. Being thrown out of that band was the best thing that ever happened to him.
You want to know more story behind the songs? Subscribe now.